Do you know Sean Combs?
Puff Daddy.
Yeah.
P. Diddy, whatever you call himself these days. Yeah, go ahead.
Man, look, I know we just talked about Diddy yesterday. I know. But look, bro, after I put that video out, I continued to do some digging because I really got an interest in this case. I want to see how everything plays out. So after I dropped my video yesterday, I got to looking around to see what else in the world of Diddy has been going down. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but back a couple years ago, a guy named Jonathan Diddy ended up getting into a legal situation that involved him being interrogated by the police. In this interrogation with the police, Diddy has some interesting things to say about Diddy's organization, and he makes some crazy accusations against Diddy that in 2018 would have seemed almost unbelievable. Like, if you heard what he was saying in 2018, you might have said, this man is crazy. But in 2024, looking back on this interview, bro, I don't know. This man might have been on to something. Now, I know a lot of y'all don't even know what I'm talking about, probably don't have no idea who Jonathan Diddy is. So let me give y'all a little bit of backstory, and then we're going to take a look at this interrogation footage because I think y'all need to hear what this man was saying in 2018. Now, it's been a couple of months now since this entire scandal surrounding Diddy has been developing, right? There's been bombshell lawsuits filed against him. And just a couple weeks ago, we seen the feds raid a bunch of his properties, and it seems like an indictment is imminent at this point. Well, since all of this started happening, we've seen a lot of clips popping up, a lot of interviews, a lot of things from the olden days that show Diddy in a not so favorable light. Basically, what's happening is people are trying to link things that Diddy has said and things that other people have said together to try to find something incriminating. Now, as the days and the weeks roll on, we're starting to see more and more footage be brought to the light. And some footage that recently has been brought to the light is this interrogation footage of this man named Jonathan Diddy. Now, on May 18th, 2018, this man went into the Trump National Doral, which is a hotel that's located in Miami. It's like a resort. And he went in here in the middle of the night, like 1:30 in the morning, right? And he basically went in here and went on a rampage. According to the arrest records, he went in there strapped with a firearm, busted off a bunch of shots in the lobby, aimed it up at the chandelier, busted off a couple more shots, grabbed this giant American flag, draped it over like the bar area that's there, and then just started breaking stuff, grabbing stuff, throwing it across the room and breaking things. Now, the police showed up to try to get the situation under control, and Diddy ended up getting into a shootout with them and then trying to run away. But Diddy was hitting a leg during the shootout, so he ended up just trying to hide from the police. But they ended up finding him, arresting him, and then they took him to the hospital so he could get treated for his wounds, right? Now, it was at the hospital where detectives decided that they were going to interrogate or run a line of questioning on this Jonathan Diddy dude. And at the time, a lot of people were focused on this interrogation because he was in a Trump hotel when he did this, and there was a whole political factor to it. Now, y'all know how I am. I'm not talking about politics on this channel. To be real with you, I couldn't give a damn about them politics. So we're not going to talk about that. But when this happened, that's what a lot of people was focused on, was the political aspect of it. But in this interview that he gave to police all the way back in 2018, this dude, Jonathan Diddy, said some crazy stuff about Diddy, and most people just overlooked it because of the political aspect. But while he was in there, he asked to speak to the DEA, the Secret Service. I mean, he asked to talk to everybody that he could ask to talk to so he could spill the beans on Diddy. And we're going to get to that in just a second, but let's conclude Jonathan Diddy's case. So this happened back in 2018, and even though that was a long time ago, there hasn't been a conclusion to this case. He's still pending trial to this day, and he has a court hearing coming up pretty soon for it. Now, with all of that said, and you guys familiar with Jonathan Diddy's history, why he ended up in this interrogation room, let's go ahead and jump into this interrogation footage, because Diddy is about to lay out some claims against Diddy that, like I said, at the time sounded a little bit wacky, but hindsight 2020, when you watch this interview in 2024, bro, the things that he's saying, they coincide perfectly with the things that have recently been alleged against Diddy. Like, I mean, perfectly. So shout out to the Real World Police YouTube channel. They posted this video 3 years ago on October 29th, 2020. It only did like 160,000 views at the time, but it popped up in my recommended, and I watched this video just because I be watching body cam footage and interrogations when I'm bored. But it popped up, I gave it a watch, and I'm hearing the things that this dude is saying. And I'm like, bro, I ain't heard nobody talk about this. Like, I ain't heard heard nobody speak about this and put this out there. So let's run through some of this footage. Now, at the beginning, Jonathan Idy just basically talks about a bunch of different conspiracy theories and stuff like that. Things that really aren't relevant to Diddy. But at about 8 minutes and 20 seconds into this interview, he asked the interrogator if he's ever heard of Diddy.
How do you know this?
Do you know Sean Combs?
Puff Daddy?
Yeah.
P. Diddy, whatever you call himself these days. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he's part of what's called the Boule. The Boule is a branch of the Illuminati.
Okay.
It's the black people. Okay. I'm from Africa, so I'm not a racist. Okay, you my brother, so I like black people.
All right, so y'all can hear him mention the Illuminati. And I know, before y'all click off the video, bro, give dude a shot. Like, I'm telling you, just ride with me on this video. Give dude's testimony a shot. All right, so he mentions the Illuminati and then he mentions this other thing, the Boule. Now, the Boule is basically what he's referred to. He says it's like a branch of the Illuminati, but for black men. So the first question is, does this exist? And the answer to that question is, well, yes, kind of. What he specifically is referring to is what's called the Bull, which is like the senior leadership of a fraternity organization called Sigma Pi Phi. Now, Sigma Pi Phi was founded in 1904 and is the oldest fraternity for African Americans. And it also doesn't have like collegiate chapters. So like it doesn't have its start in colleges. Instead, it was designed for professionals at mid-career levels or above, right? So people that are already established in their industry. Now, Diddy has been long rumored to be part of this organization or this fraternity, but it's never really been confirmed. He's never said that he is. He's never said that he isn't. But I think the important thing to note here is that this dude is, while saying some crazy stuff like it's part of the Illuminati, he's also giving details about something that actually exists. It's not like this man just made this up. Like, this is an actual thing that exists. So with that said, let's listen to a little bit more of what this dude had to say there in this interview.
I had settlement with Sean, okay? And he belongs to that agenda. That's why he's so famous. They land all the contracts. It's his attorneys, which are Mark Garagos and Ben Mercedes. Ben Mercedes worked for Bad Boy Entertainment for 4 years and worked for Hillary Rodman for 5. Okay? When I take Sean the threat of death on me, okay? I don't have it, but I can make it available under secrecy. That means that I wouldn't be liable because I don't want to be getting framed for anything, okay?
All right.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard a lot of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a sex slave, okay? For them, that's what I was. That's all right? I caught herpes, and I came back and I sued him for the herpes and won. But they did. Mark Garagos and Ben Mercedes were his attorneys, okay? And Christopher Leon's here was my attorney. They asked me to turn in that, which was the video recording, and I did so. They gave it back to me accidentally, and it's possible, I threw everything out, it's possible I can produce a copy.
Gotcha.
It's possible, I'm not sure. Now, how does this lead towards Donald Trump?
All right, so bro said a whole lot in a very short amount of time. So let's start at the beginning with that. He said that he had a settlement with Diddy. When he says that, basically he's saying that he had like a lawsuit settlement with Diddy. Now, he doesn't go into great detail on that. Instead, he moves on and he starts to create like this pyramid of people that he thinks is involved in this grander scheme. And he names a few people.
It's his attorneys, which are Mark Garagos and Ben Mercedes.
So keep in mind that this dude is pulling these names and people off the top of his head. He's not having to think about it. He's able to pull and recall these names with no problems, which I just thought was an interesting fact. Anyways, Mark Garagos, and Ben Masalis are actually well-known legal professionals. They've represented a ton of people. We talking about people like Michael Jackson, Colin Kaepernick, Jussie Smollett, and of course, they are both actually associated with Diddy when you start doing some digging. In 2015, Mark Garagos, he represented Diddy in a case in LA that ended up not being prosecuted, but the case was basically Diddy had gotten into some trouble after he reportedly assaulted a football coach at UCLA. Some of you guys may have heard of this. Apparently his son was on the football team, and after the coach sent Diddy's son home from practice, Diddy allegedly assaulted him with a kettlebell weight, right? It was big news when it happened. And Mark Garagos is the person who was kind of defending Diddy in that legal matter. Now, Ben Masalis was a Bad Boy Entertainment intern back when it was Bad Boy Records. So the organization that he claimed existed, the Boule, it actually exists. The people that he names to be associated with Diddy are actually associated with Diddy. But those aren't even the most interesting claims as far as I'm concerned, because he says something else in this interview that coincides perfectly with a lawsuit that was filed against Diddy that was settled, and that is Cassie's lawsuit. Now, in Cassie's lawsuit, she accuses Diddy of a bunch of stuff, but most notably, she said that Diddy would force her to have relations with male strippers. Sorry, I'm trying to be choosy with the words because I don't want to get hit by YouTube, but basically he would make her have these relationships with these male strippers. And then she said that he would sit in a corner and he would do his thing. Now, this is stuff that she alleged in her lawsuit at the end of 2023, November 2023. Keep in mind, this interview with this dude happened all the way back in 2018. And she also said in her lawsuit that these sessions would often be recorded. And just when you look at her lawsuit and you look at his testimony in this interrogation, man, it's like a perfect crossover, right? Because listen to what he said again.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard a lot of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a sex slave, okay? For them, that's what I was.
I mean, I'm saying that's the exact same thing that Cassie described in her lawsuit, except for this was recorded in 2018 before she ever went public with any of this. So the question is, if dude ain't telling the truth, how would he know any of this? And look, that's not even all that he says in this interview, because earlier we heard him say that he had a settlement with Diddy. Well, he goes on to say that he ended up catching an STD from doing this with Diddy and Cassie, and so that's why he ended up suing.
That's all right? I caught herpes, and I came back and I sued him for the herpes and won. But they did Mark Garagos and Ben Masalis were his attorneys, okay? And Christopher Leon's here was my attorney. They asked me to turn in that, which was the video recording, and I did so. They gave it back to me accidentally, and it's possible I threw everything out. It's possible I can produce a copy.
And again, bro says all this before Cassie's lawsuit was ever made public. And in her lawsuit, she said that Diddy would sit in a corner and watch her do these things. She said that it would be recorded. She said that Diddy would hire male performers to do that with her. And these are all things that Idy is basically saying 4 or 5 years ago. To top it all off, Idy himself, who considers himself an entrepreneur and an investor, at this point in his life, used to be a male stripper and a adult performer. So, I mean, it's possible that he was working in the area back in the day when Cassie alleges all this happens. He may have actually been somebody Diddy hired. But I think that people discredited his statements in this interview a little bit because he talks about this cabal. He talks about this secret society that's running things. And that just turns a lot of people off. But, I mean, Diddy and Cassie isn't all he talked about. He talked about how hip hop has this like secret agenda and that the DEA and CIA is pushing drugs into the community. And these are things that we've heard before from theories like this, but I still think it's something worth hearing from him. Because instead of using his statements about the cabal to discredit his statements about Diddy, couldn't we just as easily use his statements about Diddy to like confirm his statements about this cabal?
Gotcha.
It's possible. I'm not sure. Now, how does this lead towards Donald Trump?
Okay.
The Masalis family, Ben Mercedes, that works with Mark Garagos. Mark Garagos used to be Michael Jackson's attorney.
Yeah, out in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had he drugged Michael and they OD'd him, okay? He didn't overdose. They OD'd him because they keep the royalties of the music. Michael alone made $860 million alone last year, okay, in 2017, which who keeps that royalty? The music companies. Who represents the media and entertainment in the United States? Most of them, Mercedes does. Kenny Mercedes. The hip-hop agenda is an agenda to move drugs all over the United States. They move, you need to involve DEA. They move all the dope, okay, all the dope on private jets, which don't get screened by
customs?
By
anybody?
okay. Inside the United States, okay? They move what's called high-grade powder, MDMA. They move cocaine, and they move liquid cocaine in the bottles too. Okay, so they put the liquid cocaine in the bottles and they move it. I've seen the liquid cocaine, I've drank it myself, having sex with Diddy and Cassie. Okay, it's not good. He drinks it all the time.
Now, that particular statement there at the end where he says that Diddy had this liquid coke is particularly interesting because if you look at Cassie's lawsuit, you look at Lil Rod's lawsuit, they both alleged in their lawsuits that Diddy had an outrageous amount of drug use happening in his circle. But that isn't all he says in this interview. He goes on to allege that his settlement with Diddy was worth $4.5 million.
I'm 42. I've been through all my life. I've had a great life. I've settled $4.125 million with Diddy. Okay, but he's scared that I was going to expose him.
I don't want to talk about Diddy right now. I want to talk about you.
Now, if Adi actually settled for that amount of money with Diddy, who knows? I don't know. I can't look it up. I have no way to look that up, so I had no way to verify it. But, I mean, it's possible that he did. I think that the most interesting part of this entire thing is he gives several statements in this interview that seem to be relatively on par with what everybody else has been saying, except for the thing is, he said this way before anybody else said it. Like years before. And so for me watching this, on one hand, you got this guy talking about, because if you go watch the whole interview, you can see he's talking about crazy conspiracy theories throughout some of this video. But then at different parts, you hear him say stuff that in 2024 comes off as credible. So for me, this was one of the most interesting interviews given about this entire situation the entire time. And there's been a lot of people come forward and give interviews and talk about this, but this was one of the most interesting ones. And I haven't seen anybody posting about it. I ain't seen nobody talking about it. And it's just odd to me because I'm curious as to what this dude has going on today. What is he doing today? I mean, I know he's in jail and he's pending trial for the stuff that he did at the Trump Hotel, but I'm saying, like, I would be interested in seeing somebody interview this dude modern day about the things that he was saying specifically about Diddy. He said something about he had a tape. He might be able to produce a copy of that tape. Who knows? But I feel like this one right here probably needs a little more digging from somebody qualified enough to get in contact with this dude because he's currently incarcerated. But I just wanted y'all to see it. I wanted y'all to hear what this dude had to say. It's just another piece to a big puzzle that's all coming together. Whether Diddy's guilty or Diddy's not guilty, I have no clue at this point. I'm still waiting on the federal documents to come down, but I felt like this was one of those interviews that you guys just shouldn't have missed. But that's basically all Adi had to say about it or has said about it. So if you guys enjoyed the content, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, tap the notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a video. As always, it's been fun rocking with y'all, man. I'm out.